when a discriminatory HOA locked a fence around Daniel Harris's ranch to isolate the black rancher. He outsmarted them by buying the surrounding land and securing the only gate key, turning their attempt to exclude him into a lesson they'd never forget. Daniel Harris was a 42-year-old rancher who owned a 50-acre property in rural Montana, purchased in 2017 after years of hard work and saving. Born in Atlanta, Georgia, Daniel grew up in a modest neighborhood, the son of mechanic James Harris and a schoolteacher, Lorraine Harris. As a boy, he was captivated by stories of black cowboys like Nat Love and Bill Pickett, whose tales of grit and independence fueled his dream of owning land. After graduating high school in 1999, Daniel enlisted in the U.S. Army, serving as a logistics specialist for 8 years, coordinating supplies for troops in Iraq and Germany. The discipline and problem-solving skills he honed in the military shaped his approach to challenges later in life. In 2010, Daniel married Keisha Thompson, a graphic designer he met at a community barbecue in Atlanta. They shared a vision of a quieter life, away from the city's hustle. After leaving the Army in 2007, Daniel worked as a logistics manager while saving for his dream. By 2017, with a veteran's loan and their combined savings, he and Keisha bought a 50-acre ranch outside Willow Creek, Montana, a small town of 2,000 people. The property, named Freedom Acres, had a modest 3-bedroom house, a barn, and enough land to graze 30 head of black Angus cattle. Their children, Maya, 14, and Caleb, 11, adapted to rural life, attending a local school and helping with chores. Willow Creek was predominantly white, with a close-knit, but sometimes insular community. Daniel and his family were among the few black residents, and while most neighbors were polite, some kept their distance. Daniel, determined to fit in, joined the local farmers' co-op, where he shared equipment and advice with other ranchers. He attended town meetings, offered to help at community events, and sold beef to local markets, building a reputation as a reliable neighbor. Keisha worked remotely, designing logos for clients across the country, while Daniel managed the ranch, repairing fences, tending cattle, and harvesting hay. Their life was demanding but fulfilling, a testament to their shared goal of independence. Trouble emerged in 2019 when the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, HOA, which governed a gated community of upscale homes adjacent to Daniel's ranch, began asserting more control. The HOA, led by Roger Clayton, a 62-year-old retired real estate developer, was known for its strict rules on property appearance and access. Daniel's ranch wasn't under HOA jurisdiction, but his land shared a critical dirt road with the HOA's community. This road, established by a legal easement from 1984, allowed Daniel to move cattle to pasture and transport supplies to the highway a half-mile away. The easement, recorded in county records, guaranteed his right to use the road without restriction. Roger, a commanding figure with a knack for rallying support, didn't warm to Daniel. At a town meeting in late 2019, he spoke about preserving community standards and eyed Daniel while saying, "New folks need to respect our way of life." Daniel, one of the few non-white attendees, felt the weight of the comment but stayed silent, unwilling to escalate. Other HOA members, like Vice President Linda Walsh, a local business owner, echoed Roger's views, questioning why Daniel shipped his beef to markets outside Willow Creek instead of selling locally. The implication was clear: he didn't belong. In January 2020, the HOA announced plans to install a locked gate on the shared road, citing concerns about trespassers and unauthorized traffic. Daniel learned a proposal through a neighbor and attended the next HOA meeting to object. "That road is my lifeline," he told the board. "The easement says I have full access. A gate could disrupt my business." Roger brushed him off. "We're just adding security. You'll get a key." The HOA voted 8-0 to install the gate, promising to provide keys to all affected landowners. Daniel left the meeting uneasy, but hoped they'd follow through. By March 2020, a heavy steel gate stood at the road's entrance, secured with a chain and padlock. The HOA distributed keys to its 40 members, but didn't give one to Daniel. He called Roger's office repeatedly, leaving voicemails that went unanswered. He emailed the HOA board, citing the easement and requesting a key. Linda replied once, saying the keys were being processed. Weeks passed with no progress. Without access, Daniel couldn't move his cattle to market or receive deliveries of feed, costing him thousands in lost sales and extra trips to haul supplies via a longer, unpaved route through a neighbor's land. Keisha saw the toll it took. "They're targeting us," she said one evening as Daniel stared at unpaid bills. "It's not just about the gate. It's about who we are." Daniel nodded, his frustration mounting. He'd faced discrimination before, overlooked promotions in the Army, skeptical looks in Atlanta stores, but this felt personal, a direct attack on his livelihood. "I'm not letting them push me out," he told her. Maya and Caleb overheard, sensing their father's resolve. "What are you going to do, Dad?" Maya asked. Daniel smiled faintly. "Something smart." Daniel reached out to Marcus Reed, a friend from his Army days who now practiced real estate law in Bozeman. Over coffee, Marcus reviewed the easement agreement. "They're violating your rights," he said. "You could sue, but litigation's slow and expensive. There's a better way." Marcus suggested investigating the land around the HOA's community. Much of it was undeveloped, owned by a company called Big Sky Properties, which was facing financial trouble after a failed resort project. "If you own that land, you control the road," Marcus said. "It's a power move." Daniel spent weeks researching. Big Sky Properties owned 200 acres surrounding the HOA's community, including the shared road and additional highway access points. The company, desperate to offload assets, listed the land for $400,000, well below market value. Daniel and Keisha reviewed their finances. $150,000 in savings, a $50,000 inheritance from Lorraine's estate, and the potential to borrow against the ranch. It was a gamble, but Daniel saw it as a way to secure their future. "If we own that land, they can't touch us," he told Keisha. She agreed, trusting his instincts. "Let's do it," she said. In April 2020, Daniel met with Big Sky Properties owner Tom Heller in Bozeman. Tom, eager to avoid bankruptcy, was open to a deal. Daniel negotiated the price down to $380,000, citing the land's limited development potential. Marcus drafted the contract, ensuring the deal included the road and gate. By May, Daniel closed on the purchase, using a combination of savings, the inheritance, and a $200,000 loan. The deed transferred ownership of the 200 acres to Daniel, including the easement road and the gate itself. The HOA had no idea until Daniel made his move. On a quiet Saturday, he hired a locksmith from Bozeman to replace the gate's padlock with a new one, keeping the only key. He sent a certified letter to the HOA board, stating he now owned the surrounding land and controlled the road. "As a landowner, I'm setting new access terms," the letter read. "Request permission to use the road, and I'll provide keys under specific conditions." He cited the easement agreement, which allowed the landowner to regulate access as long as it was reasonable. Roger called Daniel the next day, his voice shaking with anger. "You can't lock us out of our own community," he said. Daniel remained calm. "You locked me out for 2 months, Roger. I lost $8,000 because of it. Now I own the land, and I'm protecting my rights." Roger threatened to sue, but Daniel was prepared. "Talk to my lawyer," he said, giving Marcus's contact information. The HOA called an emergency meeting, inviting Daniel to discuss the issue. He arrived with Marcus, carrying the deed and easement documents. Roger opened with accusations. "This is extortion," he said. "You're holding our community hostage." Daniel responded evenly. "You restricted my access, costing me my livelihood. I'm just doing what you did, securing my property." Marcus laid out the legal facts. As a landowner, Daniel could set conditions for the road. The HOA had no case. Linda Walsh, seeing the bind they were in, pushed for compromise. "We need that road for deliveries, emergencies, everything," she said. "What do you want, Mr. Harris?" Daniel outlined his terms: a $5,000 payment to cover his financial losses, a signed agreement acknowledging his access rights, and a public apology at the next town meeting for the HOA's oversight. He'd provide keys to HOA members once the terms were met. The board, realizing they had no leverage, voted 6-2 to accept. At the July 2020 town meeting, Roger read